Here we go. Dee dee da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee da 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 dee da dee da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee da 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 dee da dee da 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 dee dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da 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 dee 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 da 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 dee 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 Okay, before we get started, you know, uh, especially when we're younger, a lot of people are scared of the dark. Light goes out, and we're scared. And you know, when you sing a song and you close your eyes, you're not scared.
You got company.
You see, when you close your eyes, if you were to see when you close your eyes, you would see it's dark, but it's not dark. And really, if you think about it for a moment, anytime you do anything special, it's really special, you close your eyes. So, you know, you say Shema Yisrael, you close your eyes because it's special. You know, we'll just wait for Barbara to, Barbara's joining us. Here she comes. So as Barbara's joining us, imagine you give someone a kiss and your eyes are open. I mean, it's okay, but you know. But how do you know you're really connected? Your eyes are closed. Dee dee dee, da da da, dee dee dee, da 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 da. Dee dee dee, da 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 da, da da da, da da da, dee dee dee, da 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 da, dee da 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 da. Dee dee da da da, dee dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee do 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 do. Ya na na ya na na ya na 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 ya na 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 na. Dee da 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 da. Dee da 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 da. Dee 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 da 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 da. Dee dee dee. Dee 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 dum ba-da-dum ba-da-dum dee da 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 dum dee da da da. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Barbara, it's good to see that you're here.
Hello, nice to see you too.
Shalom, Barbara. Barbara's coming to us from Jerusalem. My father-in-law is coming from Boca Raton, and Stephen and Jordan are coming from the 5 towns. We're all here together, and we're starting on chapter 6, sentence 2. It's the beginning of the parsha. Vayidaber Elohim Moshe, and God spoke to Moshe, V'yomer, I am God, and I, Vayarei el Avraham Yitzchak el Yaakov, and I have this whole thing going on with your forefathers. And sentence number 4, V'gam ekamti briti itam, and I am going to respect my promise to them, and I'm going to give them the land of Canaan. And I've heard Mitzrayim, and I know you're suffering, but it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. That is basically what happens, and that is an answer. That is an answer to what? That's an answer to a question. So what's the question? So now listen to this. This is probably the most important question that a human has ever asked God. And if you look at just a little bit before this, the end of chapter 5, Stefan, please read for us chapter 5, sentence 22.
Chapter 5, sentence 22. And
Yes.
then Moses returned to the Lord and said, O Lord, why did you bring harm upon this people? Why did you send me?
Yafeh. So now, just to give you a little piece of the storyline, and then we're going to put it all together. So what's the storyline? God sends Moses to talk to Paro, and God says to Moshe, listen, you're going to do these signs, but Paro's not going to listen to you. And until, just like Am Yisrael are the firstborn, my firstborn, until Paro doesn't lose his firstborn, he's not going to let you go. Moshe goes, and Paro, sure enough, says no. And not only says no, he says, you guys are just weak and you're lazy, and now I'm going to, you're going to have to give your own hay. And so now they have to keep up the quota, and there are these Jewish policemen that are in charge of all this, this new mission, and they complain to Paro, and then Paro still says no. They come out, and when they come out of the palace, they meet Moshe, just trying to get straight from the text, and they say, Moshe, why did you do this bad thing to us? Now it's even worse than it was beforehand. And so Moshe goes back to God and says, God, Lama herot la'am hazeh? Why are you causing evil to this nation? Why are you causing evil to this nation? You know, it's got to break your hearts when you ask that question. Why are you causing evil to this nation? And you know, when someone asks a question, so one option is that they're asking for, they want information. They want an answer. But sometimes people ask a question, they don't want an answer because they have a problem and they want a solution. So we're going to have to figure out, what is Moshe, does Moshe need is he looking for an answer, or does he have a problem that needs a resolution? So let's start, maybe Moshe really wanted information. So he said, listen, I understand. It was bad beforehand, but now that I actually talked to Paro, it's even worse. So maybe he's asking the question, why'd you make it worse for them? And sadly enough, if that's his question, then the answer is, as we all know, human beings can get used to anything. Any bad situation, we can get used to. Barbara, did you want to say something?
I said almost.
Almost. I agree, almost. And so, you know, as a counselor, sometimes I worked with battered women, and the sad thing is that they get used to it. So when do they come for help? A lot of the times, when it gets worse, or when the husband starts beating on the kids, when it gets worse. So if that's really his question, so the answer is God says, listen, I had to make it worse because they had gotten so used to being mistreated, so I had to make it worse. Okay, that's definitely could be, this. But here is something else. He said, why are you causing evil to this nation? Moshe could be asking the question, I don't understand. Why are you, what did these people do? Did they do something wrong? So you know, classically, hello, Melissa. She's joining just a second. Shalom, Melissa. Thank you for joining us today. So classically, if you ask the rabbis throughout generations, why are the Jews in diaspora? Why are the Jews suffering? Then who the rabbis always blame? They blame the Jews because you didn't listen to God. And so because of that, you're suffering. Okay, it's a classic response, and every time it gives the same answer. But to going into Egypt, there is no sin. How do we know this? Because Abraham, God says to Abraham, Lamanteda, I am going to send your people into Mitzrayim, and they're going to be slaves there for 400 years.
400.
400 years, thank you. So Moshe might be asking the question, why are you causing evil? Why do we have to go through this evil? And to that, there are two answers. One is because we live in a world where the strong are strong and the weak are weak. And if you're not strong enough, you don't survive. That is the world that we live in. And Egypt was strong. It was the strongest civilization at the time. And so we went in to be slaves so that God can show the world that the impossible is possible, that the weak can be saved, and the weak have the right to be saved. That is one answer. Why we were sent into Lama Herota, why are you causing evil to this nation? But you know, if we were slaves in Egypt, this doesn't help us. I mean, there is another answer. This answer doesn't help us either, but maybe a little bit. If someone has a favorite mitzvah, how would we know it's his favorite mitzvah? So maybe because he keeps doing it, or maybe he keeps talking about it. So if God has a favorite mitzvah, what would be God's favorite mitzvah? Well, it would be the mitzvah that God mentions more than any other mitzvah. And what is the one mitzvah that God mentions more than any other mitzvah? And that is the mitzvah, he says, you shall love the stranger. Why? Because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. And that reasoning that you shall not oppress the weak because you were slaves and you were oppressed, that repeats itself over 30 times in the Torah. It's God's favorite mitzvah. So that really doesn't help in terms of the actual suffering itself. But it does help in the sense that if you actually believe in God, and you actually believe the Jewish people are a different people, and that we have a role in this world. If you believe that, it helps you, because that's our role. Our role is to show the world that the weak should be treated differently. That's our job. And we were chosen as a people for that specific purpose. We were chosen to carry that responsibility and to show everyone that there's justice in the world and that the weak have rights. So he says, Lama herota la'am hazeh, he says, why are you causing such evil to this people? Why is he asking this question? He's asking this question for a very, 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 very important reason. And that is because that is the job of the leader. The job of the Jewish leader is what? Is that when God causes suffering, doesn't matter what the reason is, doesn't matter if it's because we are the chosen people and we have a responsibility to carry and so on and so forth. It doesn't matter. The job of the Jewish leader says, God, the job of the Jewish leader is say, God, why are you doing this? You shouldn't be doing this. Why are you causing suffering? You know, we are not called B'nai Adam, the children of Adam. We're not called B'nai Noach, the children of Noach. Why? Is because when Adam was expelled from the Garden of Eden, what did he say? Nothing. When Noach was told the world's going to be destroyed, what did he say? Nothing. We begin to be called the children of Abraham because Abraham argued with God. Hashofet kol haaretz lo yaseh mishpat. The judge of the world, it has to be just. I mean, of course it's just, but you have to show us it's just. And then what is our name? We are called Yisrael. What does Yisrael mean? It means Sarita im el v'tuchal, that you have argued with God. You've argued with God. So Moshe asks this question, why are you causing evil to this nation? Because that is the job of the Jewish leader, to stand up and say, there's evil and it's wrong not to accept God's will. First, we have to argue with God and we have to not accept it. Ultimately, we continue to have a relationship with God and we ultimately say, okay, there must be a reason. But we don't accept it flat out. And now we come to the last point. And the last point is Moshe asked this question because he's teaching us something very important. Why did you cause evil to this people? And he's saying the question for himself and the question for us, because he's saying, I want to bring this part of my relationship with you, God. The part that hurts, I want to bring it to you also. I just don't want to accept, oh, whatever God says, I'll do, and I'm suffering. God, I want you to know that I'm suffering. I want you to know they're in pain. There are people in pain. And I need a reason, also on the personal level. I want to know. And so it's not that, it's like, imagine you go to shul. You go to shul. What do you do before you go to shul? You take a shower, you put on a suit, put on a tie, put on perfume, maybe you shave, you get dressed up, you go to shul. Okay? Now, imagine you walk into shul, and on your left-hand side is a little angel, and the right-hand side is a little angel. It's good, right? Because listen, I dressed up. The angels also got dressed up. They're all wearing Armani. It's all beautiful. Now imagine I get all dressed up for shul, and sitting on the left-hand side is a little Satan, and sitting on the right-hand side a little Satan, and maybe they don't smell so good, maybe they don't look so good, and I say, oh no, I don't want to sit next to them. You see, that's where the thing happens. We go to shul, or just as a metaphor, and we say, oh, the more parts of myself which I don't like, I'm going to leave outside. And Moshe is also saying here, Lama Herot Lama, he says, these things that cause us pain, bring them to God. We may not like the answers, but it's part of what it means to be a person, part of what it means to be Jewish, is that we don't ignore these parts. We bring them to God, and we expect God to respond in some kind of form. And sometimes we don't always know. We don't always know why we're suffering, but sometimes this helps if we know there's a reason. But I tell you, the most important thing, and that is, especially for Jews, it's a long journey for Jews. Jews know suffering like no other nation. So on this long journey, until there's no more evil in the world, you know what we need to do? We need to be there for each other. We need to hold each other's hands. And we need to say, you know what? I know you're hurting. And so the name of this class is, the price for acquiring compassion. The price the Jewish people have paid in order to be compassionate is that we've been through so much. We have been through so much. Growing up, we didn't own anything that was made by the Germans, and we didn't own anything that was made by the British. Germans, we understand. The British also didn't let the Jews in. We have been through so much. And that's why, maybe we don't always agree with them, why are there so many Jews on the radical left? Because they say, Lama Herota Lama, why are you causing evil? It's not right. Don't you know that the reason why Jews exist is in order not to act towards other people the way they acted towards us? That the job of the Jews is to say justice, even in an unjust world. So I guess the job of Jews is to take the high road.